Hi, everyone. So we're here for the panel on platform engineering, and by we, I mean I'm going to be asking the questions, and my lovely guests here will be answering. So maybe let's just really, really quickly do like a short introduction. So my name is Lian. I'm a tech lead with the CNCF Tech App Delivery, and we are, amongst other things, we talk about how to deliver apps faster, more efficient in a cloud-native way. One of our working groups is the platforms working group.
Hi everyone, I am Atul. I work as a senior developer advocate at InfraCloud. I'm also a CNCF ambassador and part of the platform working group where we worked on the platform maturity model.
Hello, my name is Schuetz. I'm co-chair of the CNCF Tech App Delivery. In my real life, I'm working as a cloud architect, and I'm also, I'm CNCF ambassador.
Perfect. And Mauricio Salatino here. I just sign books lately, and that's it. But now just same platform engineering stuff and Kubernetes. Doing a lot of work on Knative. Also another project that is called Dapper. And I work for a small startup that is called Diagrid. We do cloud native stuff and help people with cloud native applications.
Awesome. So before we get started, I just want to see show of hands, like who thinks they know what a developer platform is? Wow,
all right.
That's not a lot. So I was saying, like, should we even talk about what is a platform? And we thought everyone knows it, but maybe I was wrong. So can all of you just quickly, like maybe one sentence, say what, in your opinion, makes a developer platform?
Sure. So I think one definition that I've been using for a long time for platform is it's an art and science of building something that gives the ability of self-service to the developers so that they don't have to look for or hunt for something. They have one single place where they can access the tools or the documentation or whatever is required.
For me, it's a framework of tools and systems which make development of applications for developers easier.
That's good. That's good. I think I like those two definitions. The thing that I have to add on top of that is that probably it's what you already have, but a little bit better and just easier to use, and just with some interfaces that makes the consumption of the tools that you have already like a little bit easier.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess like you wrote a book about platform engineering, right? So
yeah.
like if you just read it in the book.
No,
but in practice, like how would you get started? Like how would you introduce a platform to your organization? How would you onboard people?
the onboarding. So onboarding, it's a little bit interesting because again, I believe that everybody else, like if you're working on a large organization, you already have some sort of a platform, right? So you don't need to like just throw everything away and start again. It's all about like taking the things that you have and making sure that again that they can like teams can consume these tools in a simpler way. So I would say that to get started on platform engineering, you need to first of all look into the tools that you already have, right? Like if you already have like OpenShift, you already have a bunch of things, a bunch of tools that are being integrated together for certain use cases. And then you need to figure out if the use cases that these tools are covering are the use cases that you have in your company, right? Like the problems that you're trying to solve. And if that's not the case, try to figure out the gaps and see how do you adapt into that. Does that make any sense? Yeah?
Yes, so I think I agree with what you said. So for me, I also think you should take care a bit about your tooling landscape, what you have at the moment. Mm-hmm. Maybe the tools are already integrated, maybe not. Mm-hmm. And if they are able to integrate, then I think you should start there, and also try to find out what you want to achieve with your platform, and then move on.
Yeah.
I think I'll agree to both of you. Two cents that I probably want to add to this is that a lot of times when anyone wants to, look at building a platform, they actually think of being there and ensuring that they have all the bells and whistles and everything that's supposed to be on a platform. But I think when they're starting out, I think it's always better to just see what is required for your team and then just start with those basic stuff and get that right, and don't look at just that at day 50 this is what my platform should do probably. So don't probably try to get everything involved in that.
Yeah, so what I think that what you're trying to say is that do not do like a big bang approach, right? Like just do it more organically and find the tools that will help you to grow organically into the desired state of kind of like what a platform is for your company.
Yep.
Great.
Awesome. You said that if you are already an organization, you already have a platform.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that you already have a lot of tools to deliver software, which is the ultimate goal of all of things that we do, right? Like we just want to get more software in front of people. So you already probably have the tools and the practices to do so, but maybe you don't have the level of formalization or maturity to basically make that available and change tools if you need to, just to make the process more efficient. So I think that that's what I'm referring to. You probably have the tools for delivering software, but you can keep improving on efficiency.
Do you feel like, any of you, the two of you, having tools alone already makes a platform? Do you feel like there's a difference between just having tools and having a platform?
I think also the regulations around all of the tools and so on, other and the documentation and so on, are the things which make a platform. So, for instance, you could say, I have Argo CD in place, I have Terraform in place and so on. I use them independently and so on. But in fact, there is no regulation which services to use or which services can be used as platform services. And I think these are the things which could be improved to make a platform.
Yeah, I think platform is more like a glue. I think we have spoken about it at a lot of places, that it's a glue that holds all your tools and documentation and services together. So it basically is, again, tying back to what I said earlier, that they don't have to look for different tools or different services at different places. You have a platform where you get access to all the tools that you have. And I think, a shameless plug over here regarding the platform maturity model that we developed, I think, last year. One of the areas that we specifically looked into in the maturity model was the journey of a platform, how it starts and how it progresses over time. So we did mention over there that it could essentially start with just a couple of bash scripts which your individual developers use to get their use case solved. Maybe it could be like spinning up a cluster and some developer has written a script for it. So probably he's using it, and then it goes on to a larger team, and then the knowledge sharing happens. And then eventually you realize that at a larger level, your team requires a particular functionality, and then you build upon it and then build a platform.
There you go.
Yeah, this is actually great plug. So the CNCF Tech App Delivery has written a
2 papers.
Yes, a platform white paper that's just like a bit more general about like what is a platform, what's important, but also the platform maturity model. You wanna explain like a little bit more about what the approach was or what the idea was, like how you came to the idea of creating that?
Sure. So I think the whole idea behind doing this was that a lot of teams or organizations want a platform, but then they are quite unsure as to where they are in the journey or what they actually want. And I think that's where a lot of us, not only 4 of us, but there are probably 100 of other people as part of the platform group. We had a lot of brainstorming discussions over a few months, and the whole idea was to categorize different areas where platform teams can visualize where they stand and what is actually required to move to a next stage. So, if one example that I have to take, it's let's say talk about building a platform. So, essentially when you are, let's say at a particular stage, you have a dedicated platform team who is building a platform for you. But then when you evolve that platform over a few years and when your platform actually matures, that's when you take the inner sourcing route and you have your own developers actually contribute to building your platform. So that is just one aspect on how your platform can grow from a dedicated team to having other developers contribute to it.
So this is a way to measure the maturity of your platform. Any two of you, what about measuring like the success of a platform? Because I think that's a big question that probably stakeholders want answered.
I think sometimes it's a bit hard in terms of KPIs. So I think you can measure the success of platforms in how happy your developers are with it.
Yep.
How do you measure that?
I think you can do surveys, right?
Yeah.
And otherwise, it could could also be a time to market thing. So if services get onboarded pretty fast and stable and so on, then it could be a good measurement.
Yeah, I think that we need to get better at that, right? Like just having the right tools. So if you start any kind of like platform engineering initiative inside your company, you should be able to measure if the tools that you are using are actually improving the life of like the different teams, right? And I think that there are ways to measure that depending on the kind of like flows or like golden paths that you're trying to define, right? Like you can say, okay, I want to analyze how easy it is to just code the feature and just get it into production, or create a new development environment. Like how much time does it take? There is a way to keep track of that, but you need to make sure that you start with that, not with let's automate stuff and then just figure out if it's working or not. Because if you don't see the impact, then what's the point?
Yeah, I guess I know I'm supposed to ask questions, but let me just add to that.
Go for it.
I guess it's also, what is your primary goal with the platform? Because sometimes the goals are detrimental to each other, right? You want developer happiness, but maybe that comes at the cost of like time to market or something.
Yep.
So you need to like maybe decide before you start on the platform, like what's the thing we want to really improve, and then that's what we measure.
Yeah. And I think that like after you decide, it's like, okay, like creating APIs for that, for me, it's really important. I'm just more like a developer at heart, right? I wrote the book on platform engineering, but with that developer perspective of, I'm a consumer, I need these certain things to be efficient, and I know that there are tools to solve certain problems. But at the same time, when I'm using, I don't want to learn 100 tools. I just want to consume APIs that will give me solutions. So I think that part of the maturity on finding what you're trying to do and then defining contracts for people consuming things is extremely important. Sorry.
And I also think you should be clear on why you are building the platform. So sometimes it feels like people are building platforms because it's cool at the moment. But in fact, everything we are doing should have a business purpose, and therefore I think such things as KPIs, such things as things we want to achieve would help us getting better and making a better platform.
Great.
It's called shiny object syndrome, where I think it, especially us as technologists who are also very interested in like what's going on, we tend to like see new stuff is always better than old stuff, which is not always true. Like you were, I don't know who mentioned it, but like to begin, you should first look at what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it's good enough. Maybe we don't have to have a platform.
Yeah, but I think that's the nice thing about like open source, right? Like you see about what's out there, and then instead of creating your own, you contribute to stuff that already exists and you join communities. Yeah. And I think that's why the platform engineering movement nowadays is very successful, because it's around open source and collaborations. So it's like, okay, you have your platform engineering initiatives inside your companies, but at the same time you're connecting with experts in kind of like in these open source communities that can guide you the way.
Since you brought it up, I was just thinking, like, I think the other thing why platform engineering movement is so big right now is because it brought in this idea of productization for developer tools, so like for this developer platform, which I don't think we had it in that form before.
Yeah, I think taking the whole product approach to this, it was missing earlier. Because I think one of the reasons was that we had a lot of disparate tools and services, spread across the entire landscape. So at that time, it was just about getting things done and not probably figuring out or stressing too much upon, let's say, the speed, the agility, or the flexibility that comes. But then I think over the years that has evolved, and a lot of our focus is more on getting things done faster, by ensuring you get it with top quality. And I think that is where building your platforms, keeping your developers in mind actually helps, so that you keep yourself in their shoes and see what do they require. A joke that I make is that I have a platform team who is good at GCP, and they build GCP and give it to my developers, and they're like, hey, we use Azure. And the platform team is like, no, but we know GCP, and that's why we just build it and give it to you. But then that's not the case. You need to, ensure that you know what your developers need. Keep them in mind when you are actually building your platform.
So I think in the last 20 years, often infrastructure projects and also such platform-like projects were projects. So you got the task to create something, you delivered it, and after that, some years ago, you dated it up and so on. So obviously you patched it, but that's okay. And I think what's happening now is a more natural approach. So we are creating a thing. We are always evolving it, developing it further as we are doing this with our software systems.
Yeah.
And I think this makes the whole platform approach and also Kubernetes and so on very, very interesting for people.
Yeah, I think that like Kubernetes is a big part of this kind of like new movement that we are seeing here in the CNCF, right? It's all about like how do we build platforms with this level of standardization across tools and across cloud providers. It's not that people were not doing platforms before, right? Like I use GCP as a perfect example. We are in a very privileged position that we can look into how GCP solved problems for developers, for operation people, and for all these things, and now translate that into a more like standard approach for the industry. So it's copying some of that stuff and then just adding whatever we are learning in the process.
Yeah, absolutely right. Platform engineering is not a new idea. I remember I worked in a company in 2016, and we were building a platform on top of like AWS for containers, basically Fargate.
Perfect.
Yeah, excellent. So we have like 2 more minutes. I would like to ask you, can you give us any like tips or resources, or just like how, if any of you are interested, like how would we get started? What are things that we need to keep in mind so we have something like actionable for you to take home and to get into your own platform engineering adventure?
Yes, so I think you all got Mauricio's book.
The end. We're done.
That's done. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go home.
No.
Yes, and I think, as you told us before, there is the CNCF Platforms white paper, so to find out what could be part of your platform, what you want to achieve with your platform, and so on.
What I really like about the white paper, just to like interrupt, is that it is a good resource for your non-technical stakeholders to read, like what are the advantages that we can get and how should we approach it. It's also kind of like more about the organizational structure. It's not a how to build a platform. That's not what it is about.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's good for selling a platform.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I have to add something here, I would focus on a couple of things. The first one would be the capabilities that your platform should have. So based on what your teams are using, what your developer teams are using, you ensure that those capabilities are provided by your platform. It could be things like a workload specification. If they are deploying their workloads to different environment, you ensure that you have something which helps you standardize a workload that can be deployed at different environments. Or if they're dealing with different environments, you have an environment support or an environment capability which allows them to create repeatable, standardized environments every time that they are doing. And the second one would be identifying the right tool set for each of these capability. Because right now, from a CNCF point of view, if you go out there and open the CNCF landscape, you'll probably find a bunch of tools for each and everything. If you want to do observability, there are like 10 tools out there. So I think, you need to see if what your developers are comfortable with or what you're using existing, and then pick from them and add to a particular capability and build.
Yeah. And I would say that just meet people here in the conference, right? Like the tag app delivery people will be here. There are like a lot of interesting people to get involved, and just chat with Lian, and you will probably drive them to the right people.
Yeah, so we have a booth at the expo in the project pavilion. You will see it. We're quite visible there. We have a time frame where the platforms working group chairs will be there. You can ask them about everything you want. Go to tech-app-delivery.cncf.io to find the schedule. If you want to get more involved with it, there's also on the same website you can see which Slack channel to join, which meetings to join. I think that's it. Yeah?
Make friends.
Yeah, make friends.
Make friends. Be happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Lian.
Thank you.